Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors. And this week we're going to be talking about listening to our bodies. We're going to be talking about body intelligence. By that I mean getting in sync with your body, listening to your body cues for tiredness, hunger, stress, anxiety, and other things, and recognizing moods and feelings, and being able to put them into context. I've done some videos that relate to this before. I know I did a video called How Do I Know What Emotion I'm Feeling, and I think that's a really important video, so I'll post the link for you in the info box. Make sure you check that out if you're interested. First thing is in regards to emotions, and figuring out how you know what emotion you're feeling and how that's going to relate to your life and your behaviors each day is really vital. The second thing is physical signs. Just be aware of if your body is very tense, maybe you're not relaxed enough, maybe you're experiencing more stress than you are letting yourself realize. Also, signs of hunger. Sometimes, depending upon how long you've dealt with an eating disorder, the signs for hunger have either been eliminated or they feel eliminated, or you're just not sure how to tell if you really are hungry. But if this hasn't happened to you, try to really be in tune with the hunger pangs. If your stomach is growling or rumbling because you haven't eaten in a while, don't ignore that. Take that as a body cue and try to do the healthy thing. Obeying those signs can be hard, especially when you're not sure if those signs are legitimate or if they're in your head. And this is part of intuitive eating, and intuitive eating can be really difficult. It sounds really good on paper, but it's very hard to put into practice. I did do a video called How to Eat When Hungry and Stop When Full, and it's a two-part video. It's rather old, maybe a couple years by now, and I did it with my old camera that sort of seemed to give me a lisp when I talked, when I said S's, but nevertheless there's some really good material in there, and I hope you'll check it out. I believe the video was targeted mainly for those who were struggling with binging and purging, but it is very relevant to behaviors of anorexia and other eating disorder behaviors as well. One thing I do want to touch on that sort of came to me just a couple minutes ago before I sat down to make the video is caffeine. I think a lot of people, myself included, we use caffeine as a way to push through. And what we're doing with caffeine, especially if we have multiple cups of coffee per day or multiple caffeinated sodas per day, is we're not allowing ourselves to recognize when we're tired. And what we're basically doing with the caffeine is almost using it as a medication to mask what we're really feeling. And so sometimes we think maybe we're not that tired, but we really don't know because we've had so much caffeine that we really can't tell. And it's not that the caffeine is making us hyper or manic. It's just that it's making us maybe perform and function at our capable level. But really, if we weren't drinking it, we'd probably be very tired. So I found quite some time ago that a good lesson in this was cutting out caffeine. I cut out caffeine for quite a while at one point, and it was really difficult because I did get the caffeine headaches, and it took maybe close to 3 or 4 days to get rid of them completely. But once I did, I honestly did feel that I felt better not drinking any caffeine, and I substituted my coffee with decaffeinated coffee because it still had the same good taste, and it still seemed and felt like I was drinking coffee, but it didn't have the caffeine. Now, caffeine's not bad for you, and I'm not saying that. I just think that we use it to mask our tiredness and what we're really feeling, and we do it without even realizing it. So if you can't cut out caffeine completely or you just don't want to, maybe try to cut your caffeine intake in half just to see if you can better recognize when you're actually tired. And then listening to that, if you notice that by 10 o'clock at night, you're actually too tired to keep doing your schoolwork or your job work or staying up just because you want to be on the internet, or whatever the case may be, just listen to yourself and just go to bed. And even if it seems earlier than you're used to, maybe it's what you need that week. I think a lot of the time we wake up and we have a lot to do in a day and we think, oh, I didn't get enough sleep last night, I need this caffeine to push through. Or as the day lingers on, you reach for that soda or you reach for that coffee in order to push through. And while it seems very persevering and very good of you as far as getting the job done, it might not be the best thing as far as your body is concerned. And I think being aware of that is the most important thing, even if you do reach for the caffeine to push through at times. But just being aware that maybe you are masking how your body really feels so that you don't always do it. I think another good thing as far as listening to your body and getting in tune with yourself is to lie in bed for 2 minutes once you wake up in the morning, just to gather your thoughts just before you hop out of bed, or if you're used to rolling over and falling back asleep for 5 more minutes, try to keep yourself present, try to wake yourself up, but just lie there and just think about what you have to accomplish for the day. Think about how you feel. I think it's important if you take a second to think about how you feel for 2 minutes before you even start your day. You're better able to recognize what's really going on in your own head. And along those lines, journaling, as always, is a really good way to get in touch with yourself. And I know not all people like writing, but I always do say that a journal entry doesn't have to be 3 pages long. It can be 3 words. It can be 3 sentences. You can keep a journal where you're just using 3 descriptive words every day to describe how you're feeling, or how your day went. You could put tired, emotional, angry, or whatever the case might be, like discouraged, disappointed, upset. If you want to write more than that so that when you look back, you can remember what it is you were feeling in regards to, write 3 sentences instead of 3 words. But it doesn't have to be this page-long entry or a 3-page-long entry in order to seem like a journal entry. Your journal's whatever you make it, whatever's going to be helpful for you. And if you're not a writer, you don't have to be to keep a journal, I don't think. But I think it's a really great way to get in touch with your feelings and recognize emotions and recognize what those emotions do to you. Because once you look back, you can see if you were feeling a certain way, what you did to either combat that emotion or what you did because of that emotion, what things triggered you, what things made you feel better, etc. As silly as it sounds, I think it's good to ask yourself questions. Just take a minute sometimes to say, how am I really feeling? Hungry? Full? Tired? Rested? Sad? Bored? Just so you know what emotion you really are feeling. And that video that I talked about, how do I know what emotion I'm feeling, is going to help you out with deciphering what you actually are feeling and what to do with that. There's a really great children's book that I think was written in 2007 or 2008 that I actually just discovered, and it's called Full Mouse, Empty Mouse. And it's targeted at kids, obviously, but it's about eating disorders, and it's the first and only book I've ever come across that deals with eating disorders for children. There's a parent guide in the back of it. There are resources for parents and for children. But it's really cool what the author does with this book. She talks about getting in touch with yourself and recognizing that emotions are what are making you turn to an eating disorder or food as a coping mechanism. And it, in its own way, it talks about stress and dealing with stress and being able to communicate and talk about it. I think it's a worthy read, and I'll post the information for the book in the info box as well. don't be afraid to give in to yourself if you really are feeling tired or hungry. You deserve to be taken care of. You do. So if you really feel like you need to sleep, even if you have better things to do or you typically stay up later, go for the sleep. Or if you really feel like you're hungry, even if you did just eat, a couple of hours ago, maybe your body needs that right now. Food is fuel. And last but not least, remind yourself what's important. You only get one body, and I've said this before in numerous videos. You only get one body, so you need to take care of it and do everything that you can to nourish it and nurture it and keep it running as long as it can. I hope you have a wonderful week, everyone, and I will see you next time.